religion are terrorists. It's the opposite. Islam is a great religion. It's a great religion. However, in every religion, you have fundamentalists. You have people who are extremists and using the religion as a tool. And therefore, there's nothing to blame the whole religion for the act of few people. Terrorism has become an issue that the United States is learning to deal with. I remember testifying in Congress a few months ago on some national security issues, talking about what can we do as a society to prevent new events. And let me share with you certain things that I normally don't share in large crowds. 9/11 was not a fluke, because since 9/11 we have become very complacent. We think that 9/11 happened, we became so good at what we're doing, and we are now be able to prevent another 9/11. I predict the opposite, and I've been right. Let me tell you a story. Unfortunately, my predictions have come true, and I'm afraid to make predictions. I'm a consultant to Fox News and CNN, and I was on the O'Reilly show many years ago, and Bill O'Reilly says to me, you know, Juval, you're the expert on terrorism. Tell me how come nothing has happened since 9/11? We must be doing something right. And I said, you know what? We're light years away from doing something right. We're not there yet. The only reason the terrorists have not acted sooner and have done another act is because terrorists have historically, they always want to do the next event bigger than the one before. And how can they do something bigger than 9/11? It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible that few guys with cutting knives would take over aircraft full of passengers and then fly those aircrafts into buildings and kill so many people. The terrorists have realized the reason nothing has happened so far, it's not because they're not looking into what else can they do and how will they shape the next event, is because they realize that they will not be able to hijack a plane in North America for at least 10, 15, 20 years. And again, it's not because the security is so great in the airport, and we'll discuss that in a second. It is only because they realize that if they manage to get 3 guys on a plane with cutting knife again, and get up to try to hijack the plane, 10 Hadassah women are going to get up and sit on them, and the hijacking is over. They know that passengers are not going to let it happen. Passengers are going to get up. People know today, if there's an attempt to hijack a plane, if you don't get up and take your chances and try to take care of the matter right there and then, you're going to hit a building half an hour later. So they know that. They know that it's almost impossible to do that. Well, we're now picking up that the next event is going to look differently. The next event will be simultaneously hitting 7, 8, 9, 10 cities in America, mass transportation. We're not prepared for that. This is not Israel, where people are trained to be alert, report quickly of things that are suspicious. We don't have that in this country. Homeland Security have missed the boat, and I'm not just saying it here. I'm a consultant of Homeland Security, and I've brought it up so many times in discussions of we have wasted 10 years since 9/11 by not preparing the people, by not soliciting help from the public. There are 80 million people who go to work every day in America. There are 80 million pair of eyes that could be trained to look and report. And let me explain to you what I mean by reporting and by acting quickly. I took CNN to Israel to film something that we would then show in America. We placed in 5 cities in Israel suitcases really suspicious suitcases in front of public places, in front of a supermarket, in front of a large movie house, a discotheque, a large bus station, and walked away with the cameras and wanted to see what will happen to those suitcases. In seconds, in all 5 cities, people have looked at it, realized it's unusual, have yelled immediately, does this belong to anybody? And once nobody answered, they said the one thing in Israel that everybody's trained for in dreading is unattended suitcase. And within a second, everybody disappeared. The police arrived and took care of the matter. It went by the book, 5 cities, unrehearsed. We then brought those same suitcases to America, and we placed it in front of the same type of buildings, supermarket, large shopping mall in New York, Chicago, Detroit, and LA. Let me tell you, the suitcases are still there. This is now 5 months later. In Chicago, a patrolman who passed by, the security guard of the shopping mall, saw the suitcases, kicked them in the leg, so they weren't suspicious, kept going. In Detroit, 2 guys wanted to steal our suitcases. Thank God. We couldn't show the movie. We couldn't show the film because it was really obvious that we don't have it. We haven't trained our public to be alert, to be able to report to the things. We did another try, and we took the train, the Acela train, the express train from New York to Washington, and we placed suitcases with wires, and the suitcases went back and forth 6 times, same day, New York, Washington, New York, Washington. Nobody paid attention. There was one point that we filmed, the conductor who was sitting there doing his paperwork, there was nobody in the cabin. Everybody left already, the suitcase was still there, he didn't pay attention. So it's clearly calling for another event in America, and we're not prepared for it. Let me talk about not so much what will happen. We just got a list of some of the cities and places that those events may happen, and the list has been updated, and now there are 2 new targets on it. One is Atlanta, because of the Atlanta airport, and because they wanted to show that it's not only New York, LA, Chicago, but it's going to be also they call it the rural America. But it's also, they added 2 other targets. One is Mall America, the biggest mall in the world, in Memphis, and the second one is Vegas. Well, that's really sad because I love Vegas, and I hope nothing happens in Vegas. But you know how easy it is to drive a Humvee full of explosive Friday night and park it in Bellagio or in Caesar Palace. You don't even have to park it. You don't even have to commit suicide. You can valet park it. Walk away and push a button half a mile away from there, and it's over. And Vegas is over because Vegas is a convention town. Companies send their employees to Vegas for conventions. One event in Vegas, no company will be able to send it because they won't be able to insure it. No insurance company will allow an event in Vegas to take place again. So it will not only kill people, it will also ruin our economy, and that is one of the plans. I want to talk about some happy things. I want to talk about what can we do and what I suggest you should think about going forward. I believe that you can't protect the whole country, and this is not your job. But what you should think about is protecting your own family. Start with you, the nucleus of your family, your immediate family. And let me just explain to you something that you need to know. In the next event, as it happened in New York during 9/11, but it wasn't really premeditated and organized, now it's organized. If there is an event, any terrorist event in any big city, the government will shut down all communication for 48 hours. There will be no Blackberries, cell phones, that we're all used to it, and no landlines. This is the idea, is that the terrorists couldn't communicate with each other when they run away or plan another event after the immediate event. Just imagine you're in college, your parents are wherever they are, you have grandparents in other places, and you won't be able to communicate and find out that everybody is okay. You need to figure out a way to communicate and to tell each other that you're okay. Second thing, which is more important, you never know what the kind of event will happen. It could be a biological, a chemical, which I really don't think, but it could be. And some areas will be contaminated. You won't be able to go back to your house, to where you live, where you stay. Talk about your parents. Where do you meet? If your parents cannot, or you cannot go back to the campus, or wherever you are, where do you meet? Unless you talk about it among yourself in advance, it's going to be too late when it happens. So, I suggest next time you go home to visit your parents, sit down and as a family discuss what do we do as a family in case there is an event and we can't communicate, we don't know, where do we meet in case we can go home? There has to be a place that you designate as an alternate meeting point for your family to meet. It can be a relative, a friend, not too far away from wherever you are, so everybody can get there and don't have to travel long distances. The other thing that I highly recommend that everybody should consider is creating at home a suitcase with emergency equipment to take with you if you have to leave on a short notice. And this is not only for terrorism. This is earthquake, fire, flood. I remember after Katrina, most of the people who on a short notice, now the government wanted to issue checks, relief checks. FEMA wanted to send them checks, but they needed 4 IDs to be able to get a check. Nobody had 4 IDs. They all lost it at home. They didn't even know what to do. And you know what it takes to get new IDs. If you haven't lost your ID ever, let me tell you, it's an ordeal. Therefore, I highly recommend, whether you have it here on the campus, on a small scale, have it at home with your parents, create a suitcase, take every important document that you have at home, and duplicate it. Make a Xerox of your life certificate, of your passports, IDs, anything that is important and is hard to duplicate, and get a new one. Make 2-3 copies of it. Place 1 copy in that suitcase that you designate, and place another copy in a safe deposit box or anywhere else that you can reach later on. The idea is that that suitcase should have in it 2 or 3 bottles of water, first aid kit, a ham radio, some granola bars for the way, a copy of all those documents, and some flashlights, things that you would need if you're leaving on a short notice. So when something happens, your parents pick up their kids, their pets, put them in a car, take the suitcase, everybody know where it is, and off you go. And you can start your life, at least temporarily, easily, without going through all those issues. I'm going to stop for a moment because I hope I didn't depress you guys. And I want to give some questions if you have, and not only about what I've said. If you have any other questions,